Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there, or struggled to remember someone's name, even though you've known them for years? It happens to all of us, and most of the time it's nothing to worry about. But what if those little memory lapses start happening more often? What if they start affecting your daily life? Dementia isn't something that happens overnight. It creeps in slowly. The early signs are often subtle, so subtle that many people ignore them or brush them off as just aging. But catching these warning signs early can make all the difference. The sooner you recognize them, the sooner you can take action to slow the progression, seek help, and maintain your quality of life. So today, we're going to talk about 5 early symptoms of dementia that you should never ignore. If you or someone you love is experiencing these signs, it's important to take them seriously. Because while there's no cure for dementia, there are steps you can take to manage it, maintain independence, and keep your mind as sharp as possible. Let's start with one of the most common but often overlooked early warning signs: subtle changes in memory that disrupt daily life. We all forget things from time to time. Where we left the keys, what we walked into the kitchen for, the name of a movie we watched years ago. That's normal. But when memory loss starts interfering with daily life, when it goes beyond occasional forgetfulness, that's when it becomes a red flag. For example, forgetting the name of someone you just met is normal. But forgetting the names of close family members or lifelong friends, that's different. Misplacing your glasses once in a while is normal. But forgetting where you place things every single day and not being able to retrace your steps, that's a concern. One of the earliest signs of dementia is forgetting recently learned information, things like conversations you had earlier in the day, appointments you just scheduled, or instructions you were given. Many people with early dementia start relying more on notes, reminders, or family members to help them remember things that they would have easily recalled before. And here's something important. When you point it out to them, they might not even realize they're forgetting things. They may insist, "I never said that," or "You didn't tell me that," even when you know for sure that you did. This can be frustrating, but it's not intentional. It's the brain struggling to hold on to new information. Now let's talk about another early warning sign that often goes hand in hand with memory issues: difficulty finding the right words in conversation. Have you ever had a word right on the tip of your tongue, but just couldn't seem to find it? That happens to all of us. But if it starts happening frequently, if everyday conversations become a struggle, it could be an early sign of dementia. People in the early stages often pause more often when speaking, trying to find the right words. They might start replacing simple words with unusual ones, or they might start describing things instead of naming them. For example, instead of saying hand, they might say the thing you wear a glove on. Instead of saying watch, they might say the thing that tells time on your wrist. This can make conversations confusing, frustrating, and sometimes even embarrassing for the person experiencing it. They might avoid talking as much because they don't want to struggle with their words, which can lead to withdrawal and social isolation over time. Now, memory lapses and language difficulties are some of the most well-known early signs of dementia. But there's another sign, one that often goes unnoticed because people don't associate it with memory loss at all. We've talked about 2 of the most common early warning signs of dementia: memory loss that disrupts daily life and difficulty finding the right words in conversation. These signs are often the first red flags that something isn't quite right. But there's another symptom that catches many people off guard: changes in mood, personality, or decision-making. When most people think of dementia, they picture memory problems. But what they don't realize is that dementia also affects emotions, behavior, and even the ability to make everyday decisions. Have you noticed a loved one suddenly becoming more irritable, withdrawn, or anxious? Have they lost interest in activities they used to love? Maybe they've started making odd financial choices, like giving large amounts of money to strangers, buying things they don't need, or forgetting to pay bills altogether. These changes happen because dementia doesn't just impact memory. It affects how the brain processes emotions and judgment. Someone who was once careful with their money might suddenly make impulsive purchases. A person who was always friendly and social might become suspicious, withdrawn, or easily frustrated. Small things that never used to bother them, like background noise or a change in plans, can suddenly feel overwhelming. And here's something that often gets overlooked. Depression can be an early sign of dementia. Many people assume it's just part of aging, but if someone seems to lose their enthusiasm for life, stops engaging with friends, or struggles with constant feelings of sadness, it's worth paying attention to. Now let's talk about another early symptom, one that's often dismissed as just getting older. Difficulty with everyday tasks. Think about the little routines we do every day without even thinking. Cooking a simple meal, following a recipe, managing the bills, or driving to a familiar place. When dementia starts to set in, these tasks can become confusing, even overwhelming. Maybe you've noticed someone who used to be great in the kitchen suddenly struggling to follow a recipe they've made dozens of times. Maybe they start getting lost while driving to familiar places. Not just missing a turn, but feeling completely disoriented in a neighborhood they've lived in for years. One of the biggest red flags? When someone who has always been independent starts asking for help with tasks they've handled effortlessly before. They might suddenly say things like, "I just can't figure out how to use my phone anymore." Or, "I don't know why, but I can't seem to balance the checkbook." At first, they might joke about it or blame it on stress. But over time, these difficulties become more frequent and more noticeable. And here's where it gets tricky. Many people with early dementia become experts at covering up their struggles. They might smile and nod when you ask if they paid the bills, even if they forgot. They might avoid activities that have become difficult, so you don't notice the problem right away. That's why paying attention to patterns is so important. Forgetting one bill isn't a big deal. But forgetting multiple payments over time? That's different. Burning dinner once because you got distracted isn't unusual. But suddenly struggling with simple meals? That's a sign something might be wrong. Now that we've covered memory loss, difficulty with words, mood changes, and struggles with daily tasks, there's one more warning sign that many people overlook. We've covered 4 major early warning signs of dementia. Memory loss that disrupts daily life, struggling to find the right words, mood and personality changes, and difficulty with everyday tasks. Each of these signs can be subtle at first, but over time, they become harder to ignore. Now let's talk about the 5th and final early symptom, one that often gets overlooked until it becomes a bigger problem: confusion with time, places, or familiar situations. Have you ever woken up and for a split second forgot what day it was? That's normal. But for someone in the early stages of dementia, this kind of confusion happens more frequently and lasts longer. They might forget what season it is, what year it is, or even why they're in a certain place. They may start asking questions like, "Did we already eat dinner?" Or, "What day is it?" multiple times in a short period. At first, it may seem like simple forgetfulness, but over time, it becomes more pronounced. One of the most concerning signs? Getting lost in familiar places. Imagine going to the grocery store, the same one you've been shopping at for years, but suddenly feeling completely disoriented. Not just forgetting where you parked, but forgetting how you even got there. This kind of confusion can be frightening, not just for the person experiencing it, but also for their loved ones. And here's something many people don't realize. Time itself can start to feel different. Someone with early dementia might think something that happened years ago just happened yesterday, or they might feel like they've been waiting for hours when only a few minutes have passed. If you've Noticed a loved one becoming increasingly disoriented, lost, or confused about time and place? It's time to take action. So, what should you do? If you recognize these signs, first and foremost, don't panic. Experiencing one or two of these symptoms occasionally does not automatically mean dementia. We all forget things from time to time. We all have moments of confusion. But if you're noticing a pattern, if these signs are happening more often, becoming more disruptive, or getting worse over time, it's important to take them seriously. The best thing you can do? Get evaluated by a doctor. A professional can help determine whether the changes you're noticing are related to dementia, or if they're caused by something else, like stress, medication side effects, or even a vitamin deficiency. And here's the good news. Early detection can make a huge difference. While there is no cure for dementia, catching it early means you can take steps to slow progression, make necessary lifestyle changes, and prepare for the future. So if you've been worried about yourself or someone you love, now is the time to act. Final thoughts: dementia doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't have to mean the end of independence or happiness. Recognizing the signs early gives you the power to take control, whether that means seeking medical advice, making lifestyle changes, or simply becoming more aware of what's happening. If you found this video helpful, let us know in the comments. Have you noticed any of these signs in yourself or a loved one? What questions do you have about dementia? Let's talk about it. And if you want more content on how to stay sharp, independent, and healthy as you age, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Here's to staying informed, staying strong, and living your best life at any age. I'll see you in the next video.